quality, the sense of making one good thing, and quantity, the sense of making 10 okay things. Now, I've always been accustomed to hearing about the argument or discussion of quantity and quality, and for me, I don't feel like I can pick one. I've always been a person that thinks of compromise, thinking, what can I do to make the best out of both situations? And with quality and quantity, yeah, there isn't really much gray area there. For example, if somebody wants to make something good, then it might take them a really long time, but if they want to make something fast, then it's probably not going to be as good. Now, going back to me, the person who thinks in a compromised sense, you could tell that I was a bit conflicted with this. I mean, I couldn't go the compromise route, so yeah, I had to pick one, quality or quantity. Regardless, I started thinking, and the more I thought, the more I realized that I could technically have both. Well, just not at the same time. Now, to me, there's a lot of different aspects and connotations and factors to quality and quantity, but I feel like the one that I should talk about today is work. And the work that I do is based in filmmaking and in the film craft. Now, the quality here is taking a long time to make what I think would be a good movie, and the quantity here would be taking that same amount of time and instead making, 5 or 6 pretty average movies instead of one really good one. And this is where I take both of them into accord, but at different times. You see, I have filmmaker friends that took 6 months to make a movie, and not just any ordinary movie, but their first one. And I've always felt kind of weird that first-time filmmakers are trying to make their magnum opus. Now look, if you're a first-time filmmaker, let's be real, you don't know everything, and that's okay. I feel like in the early stages of filmmaking, quantity is the best thing to do. Because once you start making a lot of things, and it doesn't matter how good or bad they are, as long as you're making them, you start getting experience and learning, and that puts you on track to the magnum opus level. I remember when I started making films, I wrote a 50-page script that didn't get produced. Because like I said, I was a first-time filmmaker. I didn't know what to do from there. And after this hiccup had happened, I started reflecting, and I decided to start making movies without scripts, with full improvisation. They were short films, often 2 to 5 minutes, and it took me 2 to 3 hours to make. I started making these films once a week, every week, and I started getting momentum. Like, making these movies gave me a leg up. I would learn about directing, about editing, and hell, even about acting. I used to act in some of them. To me, this quantity route gave me a lot of experience, but it was also probably the most fun I've ever had making movies. I remember I would sit in a chair for 15 minutes and think of a base story for these improvised films. What I thought was so great about it is that I actually got little tidbits of movies that I watched recently and implement them into these movies. It's almost like paying homage to the movies. And I would do this first. I would list these homages, these references, and then I would just start writing whatever I wanted. This is what I'm gonna make. Like, for example, let's say I wanted to make a cop movie. I would take a reference from The French Connection and put it in these movies. And after the references, I just went from there. And by the time the 15 minutes were up, I would have a basic story that I could follow. Now, every time I made these movies, I actually started filming them, I would always rush. I would go as fast as I can. I had an hour, 3 hours, or 2 hours to make this movie, and I wanted to make sure that I finished it, that I got it done. I also loved the process because it was kind of like a beautiful chaos. Everything was everywhere, but I could handle myself. This also taught me how to work under pressure, how to be a better director, and at the end of that day, I would have a finished movie that I can watch and enjoy. But don't get me wrong, these movies were not the best, okay? A lot of them were very corny, but I loved making them if it meant that I got to learn a lot about the filmmaking process. But going back to the different times discussion, I believe that when you're first starting out, you should make as much of something as you can, while understanding that even if it may be bad, you're learning and you're advancing. I feel like quantity working also really helps with the quality of your work. When you make things and you start improving, the quality, general quality, will improve tenfold. And then when you've garnered up all your experiences and you feel like you're ready, then you can move on to the quality work. Now you'll be working on a feature film that will certifiably be your magnum opus. But to go even deeper, I don't feel like your works just become masterpieces, but your experiences and yourself become masterpieces as well. Because when you start taking those steps at the amateur filmmaking stage and you start progressing upwards till you reach master status, that is a great process in and of itself. And with the process and the passion and the quality and the quantity, you elevate yourself to achieve your goals. And I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. So to end this video, I just want to ask you one question. Which will it be? Quality or quantity?